Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to talk about the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn movie, or the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie, or Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent. We are on travel, we are wrapping up the trip, and I have gotten a chance to see the Birds of Prey movie. And I think it's a pass for me. I'm glad I only spent one ticket to see it and on travel instead of taking my wife and spending money on two tickets, but that's just me. So this movie, it came out earlier this week, where they had changed the movie title inside like the apps and stuff, where it was Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. And then the real title, when you go and see the film, is Birds of Prey and the Fabulous, some F word, Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. And it's like a very, very long title. Oh my gosh, it's a long title. And I knew when they started advertising this movie with that title, I was like, that title is way too long. So that's what they're kind of marketing it as now. It's the same way that like Edge of Tomorrow, when it came out on home video, DVD streaming, whatever you want to call it, was like mostly branded as Live, Die, Repeat, because that was the whole gist of the movie. Whereas Edge of Tomorrow doesn't really tell you anything about what the movie's about. So anyway, let's get back to this film. This is directed by Cathy Yan. She's not a first-time director, but almost. She's done a couple other smaller indie films, and this is like her first big film. And I kind of don't know why they picked her to do this, because the film is, to me, it was boring. It was really, really boring, but it wasn't bad necessarily. It was just like, it was boring. And I think that may be because I know too much about these characters, and they went in such a left-hand turn that from when I found out that it was such a left-hand turn from what's in the comics and stuff like that, that I was immediately like just not excited about seeing the movie. So that being said, having too much knowledge about the characters, I don't know if you will enjoy the movie if you're like me. If you don't know anything about Harley Quinn, Black Canary, Huntress, and Cassandra Cain, or Renee Montoya, you might enjoy this movie. You might find it fun and funny and whimsical and witty and whatever else they're saying on Rotten Tomatoes. This thing somehow got a ripe tomato rating from a consensus of critics. I don't know how, but, again, I have a lot of knowledge. Maybe they don't, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. This is just mine, and this is why you watch my videos. I guess you like my opinions. So I was calling this movie, like, in my head and online somewhere, is like, this is kind of like, how they have the rhinos, Republicans in name only. This was like the binos. This was the Birds of Prey in name only, because it was very, like, not Birds of Prey. You have Black Canary, and we've seen her on Arrow for like 8 seasons, go from Sarah Lance to Dinah Lance to Dinah Drake and Laurel Lance, and like all these different names, combinations of names that they've had in the comics. But in costume, she was Black Canary. She was wearing black leather. Sometimes she was in fishnets. She had a mask. She had the cry, whether it was natural or metahuman or a piece of technology, who knows. But it was basically all there. It was like, okay, the costume is a little different, but you're kicking ass and you have the cry. You're Black Canary. Cool. This one is a lounge singer, which I guess is pulling from the DCU version of the comic book, where she was like in a rock band. But she's a lounge singer for Roman Sionis, who is the Black Mask, if you're more familiar with him that way, even though he doesn't very call himself that or wear it in this movie. And she's just kind of there. She's like from a rough neighborhood. She's had a rough past. Your typical, like, I don't know, inner city girl that works in a bar. Nothing unique about her. They do mention her mother, and that her mother was some sort of superhero that had the same superpower that she does and helped the police. They do mention that, so that was a nice little nod to the comics, where like the original Black Canary in one version of the convoluted DC timeline was in the JSA in World War II, Um, so like Black Canary is this normal street punk who's like down on her luck and stuff and just kind of there the whole time. I don't know. Didn't really have any like motivation and everything, and everybody's just kind of like thrown together haphazardly. Huntress is there. She's the most like loyal, I guess, to her comic interpretation, but you don't see enough of her to really get a feel for her. And then by the time they actually like introduce her or let her have any lines, it's the very end of the movie where you see her personality, and her personality is a whole lot of fun, except that there's only 10 minutes left in the movie, and that's the bad part. It's like, okay, why did this actress sign on? I don't know. The other thing that this movie confirmed for me is that I am not a fan of the new modern Harley Quinn. I am a fan of the animated version, and probably that's it only. I liked Harley Quinn with Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad, but this whole, like, in 2 hours of her, I could not handle it. I was bored. I was tired. I didn't think she was particularly charming or funny. All the different things that I really thought about Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Like, Ryan Reynolds in that role was hilarious, and I could not get enough of him, even though I can't stand reading Deadpool in the comics, whereas this is like a complete flip-flop. I'd rather read her in the comics than watch her on screen because I find this version very irritating and aggravating and just kind of like, I don't know, it's not for me, and that's okay. The other thing many people are complaining about, and I'll just throw in here, is Cassandra Cain is a thief instead of a ninja assassin who has a mom that's like the top assassin in the world, and the dad that is one of the top assassins in the world, and they make a baby together who becomes like this mute orphan kind of person that only talks through violence and does sign language and stuff, and eventually learns to speak. And instead you have the kid from the projects who is a thief and has foster parents that fight. Okay, so great. Victor Zsasz is in here, and he's kind of a joke. He's never really, I guess, been like the most serious Batman villain. I haven't really read a story with Victor Zsasz as like the main villain where it was really like engrossing and grasping, but he's just, it's a crazy henchman with scars on his face. And then at the very end, he's like, I got room for you right here, Harley Quinn. And then you see his chest and stuff. But like really, he's got a couple scars on his face and neck, but his arms and stuff, like there's nothing on there. And I was like, wouldn't that be the first place you would cut up if you developed this weird like thing for killing people and carving a mark in your skin? And the other thing I like about the comic version of Zsasz is that the artists always do it as like tally marks, because he's literally like counting the victims that he's killed, because he's a crazy serial killer in the comics, not a henchman. And you know, this guy's just got him all over whimsically and just kind of like, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't get this movie. That's okay. So Margot Robbie's being Harley Quinn for 2 hours, and I didn't like it, and that's fine. The budget is there in this movie. Like, they hired the guy who does John Wick to come in and punch up the action scenes, apparently. But they're not John Wick 3 level action scenes. Like, they didn't hire the stunt coordinator or the stunt team. They just hired a guy to shoot them. And they kept their same stunt team and their, like, low-level action. And it was just kind of like, meh, I've seen this before. Nothing new is being added here. It's a little bit more fun because it's Harley Quinn and she's using a bat. And that was one thing I did like in the police evidence room, where she's like using a baseball bat. Kind of fun, you know, in a way I haven't seen before. But it wasn't as frenetic or energetic as John Wick 3. And knowing that that guy was involved, it felt like very not that guy's style, because he's only made 3 movies and they've all been John Wick movies. Chad Stahelski is his name. David Leitch is the other guy who helped direct John Wick 1, and then who went off and did Deadpool 2 and a couple other action movies. But Chad Stahelski is the guy who did 2 and 3, which are the best of the series in my opinion. Anyway, didn't feel like him, so that was a little weird. Then you get to the fun house later, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, but it's also shot very slow. Like, if it is Chad Stahelski behind the camera or helping to edit, he did not do the stuff he did in John Wick to make it feel exciting. There's stuff there that's kind of fun, kind of funky, but again, it's all not that inventive for what all the stuff that they had in there, I thought. Nothing stood out to me as like, oh shit moment. And with an R rating, there should have been a lot of those, I felt. This film is rated R, mainly for some F-bombs and some violence. Like you see Harley Quinn break some guy's legs, and you see like the pants kind of go in at one point. But that's it. There's no nudity. There's no gore, really. It's just like themes and language. And it's like, really? That's what you did with your R rating? You didn't go like, you have an R rating. Did you watch Deadpool 1 and did you watch Deadpool 2? Like, they went full out R rating and they got loved for it. Whereas this is suffering at the box office because of that R rating, because it didn't go far enough. And people aren't like, you need to see this movie. People are like, oh, it's not that bad. I liked it. It was kind of okay. And that's not driving people to the box office. We'll see after the second weekend. I don't know. But I think the most laughable thing was with all the budget in this movie that is on display, and it looks like they spent some money on this movie, when the birds of prey actually become a team, and like the final shots of the movie as Harley Quinn goes, I heard they turned a team, and they called themselves the birds of prey. The costumes and that final team, it's like, really? You talked about like giving them money and, somebody bankrolling them as a team, and that's the best you could come up with? Like, to be honest, they're reaching to be more comic accurate in this final, like, 2 shots of the movie, but they fail. Oh, they fail so bad. It looks like terrible cosplay. Terrible cosplay. Like something you would throw together the day before you're going to convention when you decide to cosplay on a Friday and you want to go on a Saturday. That's what it looks like. And that's terrible. Like, this should be the Days of Future Past thing where they show up in the uniforms. X-Men Apocalypse. What was it? Yeah, Apocalypse. They showed up in like the 90s uniforms at the very end. Even though they never used them in the next movie, it was still cool to see. And you could tell they spent money on those costumes. This one, they're like, throw a trash bag on her and paint it white. This should be fine. And that'll be Huntress. No. So, yeah, I don't know. This whole trash polka vibe of Harley Quinn, just, it's fine if it's Harley Quinn, but when you seep it into the other characters in the movie, it just is, it's there. I don't know. So let's talk about Black Mask. You got Ewan McGregor trying to ham it up as this cheesy kind of questionably gay villain. Him and Zaz have these weird moments where they're like holding each other's hands and like getting very close and very intimate with each other in their personal space. They never kiss. They talk about, do you want to go downstairs, or do you want me to need some quiet time or some alone time? But they never come out and say like, hey, they're romantically involved or sexually involved in any way at all. And that was just kind of like, why are we doing this if we're not going to go there? This movie is rated R. Let's fucking go there. If you're going to do that, that's fine. I got no problem with it. But like, if you're going to do something, do it. Don't tease me. Or don't tease the audience that really wants to see their, represented on film, whether they're bad guys or not. Just go for it. Or don't. Pick a lane. Right? And then, so he plays the Black Mask. They never call him that. He's always Roman Sionis, which is fine, except they give this guy a mask fetish in his apartment, and he's got masks from different countries outlining his hallway, his living room. He never goes into why he's into them. Never explains like, oh, I really like masks because they represent this weird part of the culture or this weird part of the human psyche or anything. It's just like, I got this one from here. I got this one from here. Do you think you would like to go there? I bet you would. And then he shows up at the end of the film and puts the Black Mask on. This is a skull mask. Talks through it for a little bit, and then that's it. And it's like, why did he put this on? And why do all his henchmen have masks on at the final scene when they didn't have masks at all throughout the rest of the movie? It just doesn't jive. It's like, oh yeah, we named our villain Roman Sionis, and in the comics he's called Black Mask and wears a mask all the time, so maybe we should put that in. Yo, can we get some Halloween masks for the extras and the stuntmen? Yeah, okay. Oh, we need to go and get that one, the prototype that we didn't really like. Let's pull that one out and put it on our actor. Oh, and spray paint it black first and put some sparkles on it. Yeah, let's do that. Like, that's totally felt totally haphazard and not intentional or purposeful at all. It would be better if this was like, he was like, you can't see my face because I'm trying to present myself in the world as a normal business person, so I wear this. Or, I got this in the Congo with these group of, tribesmen who wear masks when they go into battle because it hides their fear, or anything like that. Anything you could make up as a reason to put on a mask that's not even there, and they don't talk about it at all. It's very haphazard, again, like with the costumes. They went for glitz instead of purpose, and I think it failed them utterly. But watchability of this movie, like I said, I was just really, really bored. Everything I'd seen before. Is it as bad as Suicide Squad? No, unfortunately not. And I think that is because this has a very straightforward plot, even though like Harley Quinn is talking the whole time with like an interior monologue, and there's some weird like dance number, and it's kind of cut like, it starts here and then they move backwards and then they catch back up to here and then it goes forward from there. And that's fine. I've seen that film structure before, and it all made sense inside the movie, like why everybody was kind of doing their thing in trying to get Cassandra Cain, and then by the end of the movie trying to protect her from everyone else. That all made sense, but it just felt like they should not have put Birds of Prey in the title, and it felt like something I'd seen before. It didn't represent like, a zany Harley Quinn movie, I guess. And I know Gail Simone is out there on Twitter ranting and raving that these Birds of Prey is very reminiscent of her run, and she saw all the characters in them, and Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner are on Twitter talking about how this is the Harley Quinn we've written in the comic books for the last 5 years, and all that stuff is fine. that's fine. But it might be better to read if you like funny comic books. And it might be better to read if you like ass-kicking women in the Gail Simone series. But for me, it did not translate on film as a fun action movie that I want to watch again. So that's my review on Birds of Prey. I'm giving this 2 out of 5 stars because I'm not going to watch it again. And it was below okay. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie down in the comments. If you saw it. If you haven't seen it, don't comment, because I want your opinions after you see it. So if you want to see it, go out and see it. Maybe wait till it comes out on video, on streaming, or at the Dollar Theater next to you if there's still one available. Or go out and spend your money so you can comment on it. But yeah, go out and see it, and then let me know how you felt down below if you want to. If not, don't comment. But give me a thumbs up anyway because you like my video. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. As always, I will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.